everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Under the Gun. I am your host, Jon Friedberg, and we are right around the time where all of the World Series of Poker Europe events are about to start. Most of my friends right now are in the process of either traveling to London or just got to London or whatever. So I want to wish them all luck. I'm not going this year. I'm going to stay here in Vegas and play online like I've been doing pretty much all summer long. And it's really what I've kind of become acclimated to. I enjoy it a lot. And between the online poker and a couple business projects I'm working on, I really don't have time to be traveling too much on the tournament circuit. Anyway, I just wanted to, there's something that happened a couple of weeks ago that I wanted to bring up, which I had forgot in previous shows, and that is a whole encoding issue with cake poker. Again, this is one of those things that was nothing malicious in my opinion. It was just sort of a shortcut taken in the software development for the Cake Poker Network, which I think is also the Doyle's Room site and a few other sites. And this had happened to UB a few months ago. I think it was in April or May maybe, where UB took a lot of heat because they were not encrypting their hand data, and some company had released a video showing that you could hack into somebody's computer and basically see what their hole cards were. Now, that did not personally scare me, and it obviously didn't scare a lot of other people that were playing on UB at the time. And I sort of said something about that earlier, which was if we have proper gaming regulation and if there are rules in place, then things like this won't happen. The sites will know that they're required to encrypt the data, and all the sites can follow a certain guideline, and therefore there won't be any issues. Now, again, I don't feel too uncomfortable with the encoding personally. I used to run a software company, and you know, it doesn't scare me that much because there's still a lot of tough things that need to be done in order for somebody to sort of hack into your account. But in any case, the same thing was uncovered in the Cake Poker Network a couple of weeks ago. And again, let's regulate poker. Let's make it legal in the U.S. None of this stuff will happen. There will be audit committees that will oversee to make sure the cards are actually randomly shuffled. There will be, you know, software audit committees in place to make sure that all the software is coded properly and encrypted properly, and all that will go away if poker can just be legalized and regulated. But anyway, with that said, let me move into my Under the Gun challenge, where I am attempting to win $100,000 on UB cash games. My Under the Gun challenge is unfortunately not going as well as I had planned, and I'm not quite sure what's going to happen here as far as my ultimate result, because I'm way behind pace as far as winning $100,000. However, I'm learning a lot. I have now I've actually played almost exactly 100,000 hands total, and I'm profiting about $3,000. But this month, look at my results for this month. I'm going to put a picture of my graph up on the camera here. This month I'm having a really interesting month. It's actually the first month that I've had that I've been a loser. Well, aside from the first month where I got off to a terrible start. I'm currently down about $1,000 after 17,000 hands this month. And what's interesting here is I had an epiphany like right at the end of August, where I realized that my mentor, John Kim Nicolak, who I've had on the show a couple of times, I've really been trying to replicate his game a lot. I've been watching him play a lot. He's been watching me play and help me, you know, sort of guide me through certain situations and help me learn. I've realized that I'm really trying to emulate his game a little too much, and the way he plays is he just likes to play a lot more hands than I'm really comfortable playing. So I found that I was oftentimes playing hands that that he would have played, that I wasn't as good at playing post-flop, and getting into situations that were ultimately difficult situations where, you know, I was folding hands that I wasn't really sure if I was supposed to be folding or not. So I sort of made a few changes. I tightened up my ranges a little bit, and I've seen a great result. Now, unfortunately, my graph here doesn't really show exactly much better results, but you can see here my red line, which is my non-showdown winning line, is holding pretty steady around break even, which is really good, but unfortunately I'm just having such a bad luck month where my showdown winnings are like negative. And actually my poker software has informed me that my money won at showdown percent is 44. So I'm only winning 44% of the hands that go to showdown, which is pathetically low. And basically I keep running into aces pre-flop, I keep running into bigger pairs, I keep running into situations where I call top pair with king queen and run into ace queen, those kinds of situations. So I'm actually happy to be losing because it makes me that much hungrier to win. But it has been a little bit of a frustrating month, but as you can see, I have sort of been on the uptick recently. So I was down about 2,600 at one point this month. Now I'm only down about 1,000, and we still have more than half of the month to go. So I would bet any amount of money that I will be profitable this month, but doubt it'll be at a high enough level to win 100,000 this year. All right, so that is my update on my Under the Gun challenge. Now let's cut into my new segment, Am I an Idiot? And remember, send me your hands to underthegun@cardplayer.com so I can review them right here on Am I an Idiot? Today's hand in Am I an Idiot comes from a fellow named Tony, and this was in a poker tournament, a pretty big tournament actually, a $210 buy-in. Actually, I think it was a $215 buy-in with 13,000 players. And 350,000 for first. Top 1,350 players finish in the money. So giant tournament. Tony says he was down to 2,300 people. The blinds were 250 and 500. First to act, who has 35,000 in chips, open raises to 1,250, 1,250 on a $500 big blind. Tony is on the button with 34,000 in chips. He calls with ace-9 of diamonds. The big blind also calls. Okay, flop comes 10-8-7 with the 10-8 of diamonds. First to act, who was the open raiser, leads for 3,000. Tony raises to 8,000. The big blind folds. The original bettor re-raises to 20,000. Tony pushes all in, and his opponent calls, and he catches brick on the turn and river. So Tony says, "Should I just have called on the flop? My thought was not just to make money, so I'm a favorite on the flop. If I just call and hit, I probably don't get paid off with an ace, a diamond, or a straight card. If I win the pot, I'm near chip lead with 80,000. I look forward to your opinion. Am I an idiot?" Well, Tony, I think you played the hand perfectly. You flopped an open-ended straight draw, a nut flush draw, and an overcard, which may or may not have been good in that situation. But generally, in that situation in tournaments, it's best to absolutely get all your chips in anytime when you have like a combo open-ended straight draw and flush draw, especially if it's the nut flush draw. And so yeah, I think you played the hand perfectly. Unfortunately, you caught brick to lose. But you did play the hand very well, and no, you are not an idiot. But thank you so much, Tony, for sending in that hand. And to the rest of you, if you have any questions on your hands, send them in to me with all the details. Again, underthegun@cardplayer.com. So let me get to my guest today. I have actually a very good friend of mine, somebody I've been friends with in the poker world for a few years now. His name is Bryan Devonshire. He also goes by the nickname Devo. Bryan is also a fellow UB pro, as well as myself. So with that said, let me get Bryan on the show. We're going to talk about what he's been up to lately, which is some pretty interesting stuff. I think you're going to want to hear about it. It's pretty cool. So stick around for that. Let's get Bryan on the show. So Mr. Bryan Devo Devonshire, thanks for coming in.
It's kind of a mouthful.
I know.
You need to pick just a Devo or the Bryan, I think.
Which one? Which one is it? Devo, Bryan? I always call you
both.
Devo.
Then call me Devo.
Okay, I'll call you Devo. So what's going on? Are you still a professional poker player, or are you just like a Ranger Rick kind of professional granola now? What's up? What have you been up to?
Well, the best part about being a professional poker player is that you can work from almost anywhere you want. I mean, I took the 2 months off after the World Series and didn't play a single live session until about 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah, and you've been like what, in Colorado? Like,
yeah, I was out in Colorado working on a dude ranch, and so we did like trail rides and 3 and 5 day long pack trips and a bunch of we did like pack ins and pack outs up in the high country and take people for rides up in the above tree line.
Like you're working there like as a tour guide kind of thing, where other people came in and you took them on trips, or were you yourself one of the tourists or whatever you call it?
I was one of the guides. I was volunteering because my buddy owns the business end of the ranch and I don't need the money, and I've never worked directly with horses, so I'm like, all right, I'll trade you my free labor for renting one of these 100-year-old cabins and just let me hang out and teach me how to be a cowboy this summer.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the wilderness industry for 6 years before I became full-time tournament poker player or whatnot, which kind of depresses me because I would play cards in the off season, and then during the summers I would live in a tent somewhere on a river or up on a mountain and just do that kind of thing.
So are you still doing the camping stuff, the dude ranch stuff, or are you all done with that for now?
All done with that for now. I might get out there for another week or two. I don't know. Here at the tail end of the season, they do some guided hunts out there and pack out. People will go hunting in the high country and shoot an elk, and we'll use the horses to get that out and stuff. So.
Well, you sound a lot more redneck now than you did last year. So I guess it's a success.
2 months on a ranch. Yeah, they did it. But I mean, I would still go down to town in the afternoons and the evenings, like when we weren't in the high country for multiple days. Like we had the nights off, and I'd still play online and still work and still do my thing. But it was really nice just to take some time off and not really work any harder than I needed to just kind of get by. And
so are you up to date on like TV shows and stuff, or is that just sort of?
No, I don't even have television in my house.
Okay.
But I do have Netflix streaming through the Xbox, and that's all I really need.
Okay.
I think. I mean, you can just watch every show you want, really.
Right.
Just not immediately.
So when you're on these pack trips, what do you eat?
Food, dead plants, and dead animals.
Like you gather it out there?
No. We do everything pretty over the top as far as food goes, and since you're using pack animals, you can bring a lot of stuff. It's not like you're backpacking. So
like a pack, what's that, like a donkey carrying your...
No, we use a horse, and instead of like a regular sitting saddle, it's this saddle that looks like a little cross. It's called a sawbuck, and you hang like bags on the side of that and fill it up with stuff, and just put a bunch of
So you like grill stuff? Like burgers or salmon or whatever?
Yeah, we'll have steaks and salmon and good stuff at night, and bacon and eggs in the morning, and we'll cook it up sometimes over the open fire, but we also bring like a propane stove. And yeah, it was a good old time.
Well, I've been playing, you and I have been at the same table a little bit recently on some of the UV, the 1-2 no limit tables.
Yeah.
And without getting into any like specifics, hands or anything, what do you feel about playing online versus playing in land-based, like playing live?
Well, it's just a completely different game. I mean, the speed when you're 6-tabling 1-2 no limit, like you're getting about 500 hands an hour.
Right.
That's like 20 times faster than live.
It's crazy. And the games are pretty tough, like a lot tougher than live.
Oh, absolutely.
So as far as a trade-off between playing online and, like when you're playing online, you can play a lot more hands an hour. When you're playing live, you can kind of, you're playing like 30, 40 hands an hour.
Right.
But the games are so much more juicy. How do you balance sort of which one you want to allocate your time towards and what the trade-offs are?
Well, for me, it's more of a personal choice that I like to balance them both. Like, the online games are significantly tougher than the live game, and that's just because the learning curve is so much faster because, the game evolves so much quicker, and you either go broke in a hurry or, you make money in a hurry. And so, that's toughened up the competition a bit. But, it's all about win rates and hourlies and that kind of thing. And, 6-table and 1-2 is right about the same as 1-table and a 5-10. But the 5-10 game is a little bit easier, so you're going to have a higher, big blind per 100-hand win rate than you will in an online game. But, you're also paying a smaller rake. You're not having to tip. You're getting rake back online. And, it's just... all it really comes down to is your bottom line hourly to decide which is the more profitable spot to allocate your time. But for sanity's sake, I'll play, like this last week I've been in full work mode, and I'll play, several hours in the morning online, and then I'll go, somewhere into town and play live cash at night when the games are
really?
good or there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
I haven't. I think I've played live cash once since the World Series. I've just been playing, grinding a lot on UB, and I mean, I have a challenge where I'm trying to win a certain, amount of money, which
What's the challenge?
will probably never happen. I'm trying to win 100,000 playing on UB cash games in 12 months, and it's not looking very good. I am profitable, and I could do it with the right amount of hands, but the problem is I just don't have the time to put into play, 50 or 100,000 hands a month, which is what it would ultimately take to do. But anyway, what I was saying is I've just grown so accustomed to playing online that when I go and play live now, I just feel like I'm so bored, and you can't play enough hands to overcome the variance of any swings you might have. So you're going to go in there, maybe play 4 hours, so maybe you're going to play 150 hands. I'll play 150 hands in like 20 minutes, 10 minutes online, and in 150 hands, anything could happen. So I just feel like, online is like so much more skill-based poker, where you have so much more like long-term periods, so you can overcome any variance issues. Whereas going and playing live, you're going to go in there, play 150 hands, or get dealt 150 hands, probably only play like 10 of them.
Right.
So yeah, it's just kind of boring.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been working a lot lately too on like physical reads and tells and stuff, like the whole Navarro book.
Yeah.
Read them in Reap, I believe. Like, it's absolutely fantastic, and I used that sort of stuff a lot during the World Series this summer, and some I'm working on in the cash games too. But that's kind of what keeps me interested and like unbored at the live arena, because when you're getting 1/20th of the hands, like you're like, gosh, I can't do anything because fold.
Well, you definitely have to open up your ranges and play the people a lot more than you do online. Well, actually, you mentioned the World Series, and that brings up sort of an interesting transition into something I want to ask you about. Most people know that your backers in live tournaments are like the guys that back most of the players in the circuit these days, sheets and backs, right? Cliff Josephine and Eric Haber. One of the questions that I've been wanting to ask my guests, but to my recollection, I think you're the first guest that I've had on that is backed by them, although I could be wrong about that. I probably am wrong about that. But anyway, what happens when you're...
many people.
Well, there's like... you're not kidding. There's like 100 people in the clan.
The list is long and distinguished.
It's amazing. But when you're at the table, like let's say you're down to 4 tables in a World Series event, and 3 of the guys at your table are all backed by sheets and backs. Is there a conflict there about like... not wanting to take them out or play against them for fear of pissing off, backs and sheets for taking out their other horses?
Not in the slightest. I mean, one, that would just be such an obvious spot for people to be aware of collusion that it would be idiotic to do anything than play each other as hard as possible. And there's, even though we call ourselves a team, like there's no financial sharing whatsoever. Like, there is no communism at all. I mean, Joe Cotta won the main event for them, and all that means is that our backers have more money to put us into events. Like, I don't see a red cent about that, or there isn't some big old party, like, it doesn't matter to me at all. So, I'm going to play, the person that I'm playing against that's backed by them just as hard as if I'm going to play somebody else, because the only thing that matters for my bottom line at that poker game right there is that I get as many chips as I possibly can.
So let's say that now it's not another player that's backed by sheets and backs. Let's say it's Johnny Backs himself. Cliff
then it's like
at your table.
Like a bullseye on their forehead. I just want to bust.
Because then you're like, well, shit. I mean, obviously I want their chips, but I don't want to like piss them off or stroke their egos.
So what? I want to bust them harder.
You don't. That's not like a concern of yours to like.
No, not at all. It's very competitive, and I mean, like they instill competitiveness in us, and like that would piss them off if anybody ever soft played each other at all, because we're very professional and like we play very hard, and like that competition makes us both a little more competitive when we do play against each other.
Okay, similar question. If either backs or sheets are at your table, or other backs, sheets, stake players are at your table, do you feel the need to like play your A game more, like you're being judged for fear of?
When you know they're watching, you definitely don't want to embarrass yourself.
I know one guy in particular, I'm not going to say his name and call him out, but he's a total like snitch. He's tried to throw me under the bus a million times in like non-poker related situations, and I just feel like there's a lot of people that would run back to them and be like, Devo, limp called an ace-7 and, stacked off on a, XX whatever board. I feel like people would always be trying to like one-up others to themselves advance in the eyes of sheets and backs. But anyway, I guess I'm answering the question for you. So what's your take on it? Do you feel like you need to play better when they're around?
I definitely, want to avoid embarrassment when they're at the table or if I know they're watching, But, I mean, I can usually give a pretty well thought out reason of why I did what I did, and I'm not worried about it.
Right. And how's your year been going so far?
Pretty good. Lower on the volume end. I won a World Series circuit event in March.
Right.
I had a losing January, and I won. I won a little bit in February, cash game. But I won March, April, May playing tournaments, and lost $47,000 at the series. And then
with any cashes?
2 small cashes. My best cash was 100th place.
Okay.
Oh, it's so depressing. I thought I was playing so well too, and I was playing well, but
well,
wrong month to run bad. And then been at the ranch the last couple months, and I've been winning every week, playing cash online, and sit and goes. Been killing sit and goes. Yeah.
Cool. So it sounds like
won 15 dimes yesterday in the 100K on UB.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You got third place.
In the morning, 500 plus 30. Yeah.
Awesome. Congrats.
Felt really good about that, and ran really cold, but
okay.
Yeah, I never had it.
It's a bittersweet thing, right? Anyway, so what's next? What are we going to expect from you in the next year or so? You're going to be on dude ranches. You're going to be hiking Mount Everest. What's in store for you? You're going to be traveling the circuit?
Well, yeah, I'm not so sure. I guess I've kind of got like the rest of the year planned out. One thing I want to plug: I'm hosting a charity poker tournament on October 2nd, and we're raising money for Duchenne's muscular dystrophy research. There's a kid that I know named Darius Weems, and very inspirational kid. He decided that he was going to go get his wheelchair pimped on MTV's Pimp My Ride, and use like that as a vehicle to reach a younger audience and raise awareness about Duchenne's. And so the kid turns 21 at the end of this month, and so the first weekend they're going to come out to Vegas and we're going to throw a party and raise some money. Awesome. It's going to be October 2nd at the Hard Rock. And it's a $200 buy-in, $100 rebuys. Half the initial buy-in goes to a prize pool, so we're actually going to be playing for some cash. Got a bunch of sweet prizes we're going to be giving away. And it's just going to be a party. It's hosted by Gavin Smith and myself. And
nice.
The booze will be flowing.
Awesome. So, October 2nd?
October 2nd at the Hard Rock. And
any idea what time?
It's evening time. I'm not sure the exact time, but
okay.
Somewhere
awesome.
between.
Check it out.
Yeah.
And I'll be there as well. Actually, yeah, I'm in town October 2nd, so I will be there.
All right, far out.
So get me on the invite list.
Cool, you got it. Yeah, Lisa Wheeler's hosting it, and Matt Savage is going to run it.
She's the best, and he's the best. Those are the two best in the industry.
It'll be a good time. Other than that, I'm pretty fired up to work and grind, and I'll be doing that until I get sick of it and go somewhere else.
All right. Well, I'll be crossing your path quite a bit then. So quit trying to bluff me on the river without the nuts, man, because I caught you this week. I did catch you.
You were miserable calling with the nut flush.
I know. I typed in nice hand. Then I called with the nut flush. He had total air on like the third board. Anyway, you got to make those moves to profit in the game. So it was a good move, but I just unlucky for you had a good hand. All right, well, thanks, Bryan, Devo, for coming in. Great to have you, dude.
Yep.
And thanks for tuning in to Under the Gun. I will see you guys next week.